It started with a single tweet. No photo, no thread, just text. Posted at 12:47 a.m. Why did Jungkook leave the hotel bar with her? It was just them. At first, it barely registered. Another anonymous account. No proof, no context. And yet, something about the timing, just after midnight, made it feel harder to scroll past. Not because it was confirmed, but because it didn't sound like something you make up. It sounded accidental, blurted out. The replies were cautious. Who? What girl? Video, or it didn't happen. But buried in the noise, one comment pulled at the thread. Isn't it the same girl from the lobby earlier today? And then another. Pretty sure she was in that fan vid from last night, behind him. Nobody had receipts, just vague memories, half-noticed glimpses. A girl in the background, a repeated face, a silhouette where it shouldn't have been twice. Fans started digging, not to confirm anything, but to disprove it, to put the unease to rest. Instead, they found something else. A 3-second video, posted to a locked account, screen recorded and shared by someone who probably hadn't meant to make it public. Shaky camera, dim lighting, but enough. The sliding doors of the bar, a reflection in the glass. The timestamp, 12:41 a.m., Jungkook, glancing over his shoulder. A girl beside him. Not too close, but too close to be dismissed. Not touching, but exiting together. No security, no staff, no one else. Just them. And then the door shuts behind them. The video had no caption. It didn't need one. People weren't angry, not yet. They were confused. And when fans are confused, they dig harder. That's when the threads began. Side-by-sides, zoom-ins, old photos. Same outfit as earlier? No, different top, but maybe the same bag. She was seated 3 tables behind him at breakfast. No proof of that. Stop reaching. But it was too late. The moment had already happened. Too quiet, too late, too specific, too off. And now, the only thing louder than silence was the sound of fans refreshing the timeline. By morning, the clip had disappeared from the original account. Deleted. Gone. No explanation. No backup. But it didn't matter, because by then, it had already been reposted. Edited, brightened, slowed down. Analyzed frame by frame like CCTV footage from a crime scene. Someone added arrows pointing to their shoes, both facing the same direction. Someone else circled their reflections in the glass. One user wrote, "He waits. You can literally see him hesitate before the door." Another replied, "If it was nothing, why not leave separately?" The girl's identity was still unclear. No name, no tag, no confirmed connection. But that only made it worse. Fans began pulling footage from hours earlier. Lobby cams, restaurant stories, fan selfies. In one angle, she was behind a group of staff. In another, barely visible through a mirror. She wasn't part of the team. She wasn't in any official content. But she kept showing up. Not enough to be noticed, until now. Theories split quickly. Some insisted she was staff. Some were convinced she was staying on the same floor. Some said it was a friend, a cousin, someone visiting from Seoul. But no theory held up for long, because none of them explained the exit. Midnight, just them. No handlers, no assistants, no one stopping him. One user posted a screenshot from a now-deleted message thread. "My cousin works at the front desk. She wasn't on any guest list." Another claimed she saw the girl earlier that day, ordering drinks alone and texting non-stop. Others demanded proof, and proof never came. Still, one thing kept circulating. She wasn't supposed to be there. Not with him. Not at that hour. Not like that. The more fans tried to solve it, the more it unraveled. And the more it unraveled, the more people looked back. At old clips, old lives, old assumptions. Trying to remember when things had last felt normal. By afternoon, the timeline had split in two. One side swore it meant nothing. The girl was a friend, a stylist, a staff member, a cousin, a language tutor. Someone said she used to work for HYBE. Someone else claimed she was seen with another member last year, though no one could find the photo. The other side didn't care who she was. They cared how it looked. Clips resurfaced. A grainy elevator reflection. A glimpse in a restaurant mirror. Small moments, overlooked until now, were dragged into the spotlight. Nothing on their own. But together, they formed a shape that looked intentional. Not romantic, not dramatic, just consistent. Too consistent to forget. A fan account posted, "They didn't leave together, but they didn't leave apart either." The phrase caught on. It was reposted hundreds of times, printed over slow zooms and red circled screenshots, turned into a TikTok sound, a tagline for something no one wanted to name. The original clip had now been viewed over 1 million times across multiple accounts. No new footage had appeared, but somehow, the silence around it made it louder. A girl tweeted, "Do you know how hard it is to walk out of a hotel with someone and make it look like nothing?" Another added, "It's not about what they did. It's about how quiet it was." There were no smiles in the clip, no hand-holding, no secret glances. But there was alignment. Two people walking at the same rhythm, out of the same door, at the same time, with no one else behind them. And it happened after midnight. Some fans began defending him, calling others obsessive, delusional, cruel. Others started locking their accounts, deleting comments, muting tags, because the more they tried to explain it away, the worse it started to feel. Like something had already happened, and they had simply been the last to notice. The still image was taken from the exact center frame of the original clip. Jungkook mid-step, glancing left, not toward the camera, but toward her. The girl's face turned slightly down, unreadable. The space between them small. Not intimate, not distant, just exact. Someone captioned the freeze frame. "That one look, and everything fell apart." It exploded. Posted to Instagram stories, turned into a Twitter header, printed on fan edits with soft background music that clashed violently with the cold anxiety in the comments. Even fan pages that usually never touch drama reposted it, cautiously, quietly, always with disclaimers, always with hesitations. But they posted it. One comment read, "I wish I hadn't seen it. I was happier not knowing." Another said, "I stared at this for 5 minutes. It doesn't feel like him." People were starting to whisper about the silence from official channels. No denial, no clarification, but no confirmation either. For some, that silence was the confirmation. Others clung to the hope that it was all a misunderstanding. But the fight wasn't between believers and non-believers anymore. It was between people who could move on and people who couldn't. Someone brought up the fan sign incident from a few weeks ago, how Jungkook had looked tired, distant. Someone else said that was reaching. Another said it suddenly made sense. Theories became arguments. Arguments became personal. Fan accounts turned on each other. Friends blocked friends. Threads collapsed under their own weight, only to be reposted by someone new with one small word changed. One new piece of doubt added. One of the biggest fan pages quietly deactivated. Another locked replies and posted, "We are not entitled to his life, but we are allowed to feel confused." No one knew what they were reacting to anymore. The clip, the silence, the feeling of being left out. Like something had happened just outside their view, and now they were all stuck trying to reconstruct it with only shadows. And that single look, frozen in pixels, felt heavier by the hour. The shift didn't come with new evidence. It came with exhaustion. People stopped asking if it meant something. They started asking when it started. The phrase changed. No longer, "What happened that night?" Now it was, "How long have we not been seeing it?" Every platform felt different. TikTok edits softened the footage, adding melancholic piano, slowing their steps down to make it look graceful, as if aestheticizing the discomfort could contain it. Twitter, meanwhile, turned brutal. Screenshots, arrows, timelines. A thread titled, "Every time she was there and we ignored it," got shared over 80,000 times in 3 hours. It didn't prove anything. It didn't need to, because the mood had shifted from denial to recognition, from confusion to division. The term hotel girl started trending, half mockingly, half resigned. Some fans insisted it was all speculation. Others replied, "Speculation doesn't feel this heavy." An old livestream clip resurfaced where Jungkook had paused mid-sentence, glanced off camera, smiled, then quickly changed the subject. Back then, fans had thought nothing of it. Now, it was time-stamped and included in a possible interaction compilation. But even with all the digging, no one had her name. No one had a clean explanation. And that made it worse. Because without a name, she became a symbol of everything fans didn't get to see, of everything they were told wasn't happening, of every quiet space they weren't invited into. A post went viral around midnight. "It's not a rumor anymore. It's a pattern we can't unsee." And beneath it, a cascade of replies. "I miss when it was just music." "We begged for transparency, and now I just want peace." "He doesn't owe us an explanation, but this broke something in me." By the next morning, the clip had been reposted in every language. Theories turned into essays. Fandoms fractured into new factions. The defenders, the deniers, the detached. No statements were made, no photos were released, no clarifications arrived. But the timeline was no longer calm, because something had shifted, and no one could agree on what it was. Only that they couldn't look away, and that whatever this had been, it wasn't just a late-night coincidence anymore. It was a moment, a crack, one that might never close.